My name is Sergeant Marcus Rodriguez, and I'm writing this because something happened to my unit that the military doesn't want anyone to know about. It started with a routine deployment to Forward Operating Base Phoenix in the mountains of Colombia, but it ended with something that changed us all forever. We were a communications unit, 8 soldiers trained to maintain radio contact between our base and command centers across South America. Standard assignment, or so we thought. The base was built on the ruins of an old Spanish colonial fort, which should have been our first warning. But we were young, confident, and completely unprepared for what was waiting for us in those mountains. The first Thursday night, I was on duty in the communications bunker when the radio static started. Not the normal kind of interference you get in the mountains, but something different. The static had a rhythm to it, almost like it was trying to form words. I called for backup, thinking our equipment was malfunctioning, but when Corporal Sarah Chen arrived, she heard it too. "Rodriguez, what the hell is that?" she asked, her hand hovering over the emergency frequency switch. "I don't know," I said. "It started about 10 minutes ago." "Listen." We both leaned closer to the speakers. The static was definitely forming patterns now, and I could swear I heard voices buried in the noise. Not Spanish, not English, but something older, something that made my skin crawl. Then the radio went completely silent. Not dead, but silent in a way that felt wrong, like something was holding its breath. When it came back on, it wasn't static anymore. It was a voice, clear as day, speaking in perfect English. "Sergeant Rodriguez," it said, "you and your unit have been selected. The protocol begins tonight." I looked at Chen, and I could see the same confusion and fear in her eyes. "Who is this?" I demanded into the microphone. "Identify yourself immediately." The voice didn't respond to my question. Instead, it said something that made my blood run cold. "At 0300 hours, you will receive your first assignment. Do not resist. Do not question. The Thursday protocol has been activated, and you are now part of something much larger than you understand." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving us staring at each other in the dim red light of the bunker. Chen was the first to speak. "Rodriguez, we need to report this. Someone's compromised our communications." But I was already checking the radio logs, and what I found made no sense. The transmission had come from our own frequency, from our own equipment, but there was no record of any incoming signal. It was like the voice had materialized directly in our speakers. We spent the next hour trying to trace the source, but every diagnostic came back clean. Our equipment was functioning normally, our encryption was intact, and there was no evidence that anyone had accessed our systems. Yet somehow, someone had spoken directly to us through our own radio. At exactly 0300 hours, the radio crackled to life again. This time the voice was different, younger, more urgent. "Sergeant Rodriguez, this is Lieutenant James Morrison, 7th Special Forces Group. I need you to relay a message to command. Tell them that Operation Nightfall is compromised. The subjects are aware. Repeat, the subjects are aware." I grabbed the microphone. "Lieutenant Morrison, this is Sergeant Rodriguez at FOB Phoenix. Please identify your unit and location." But the voice continued as if I hadn't spoken. "The Thursday protocol is not what you think it is. It's not a military operation. It's a bridge between our world and something else. And tonight, that bridge is opening whether we want it to or not." The transmission ended, and I was left holding a dead microphone, wondering if I was losing my mind. But Chen had heard it too, and the look on her face told me that whatever was happening, it was real. The next morning, I reported the incident to our commanding officer, Major Thompson. He listened to my report with a strange expression on his face, like he was hearing something he'd been expecting. "Sergeant Rodriguez," he said finally, "I want you to forget about last night. Consider it a training exercise, nothing more." "But, sir, the transmissions were real. Someone accessed our communications system." Major Thompson's expression hardened. "That's an order, Sergeant. You will not discuss this incident with anyone. Is that clear?" I nodded, but I could see in his eyes that he knew more than he was telling me. And I had a feeling that whatever the Thursday protocol was, it was just getting started. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that voice in my head, talking about bridges and subjects and things that were aware. I was still awake at 0300 hours when the radio in my quarters suddenly came to life. "Sergeant Rodriguez," the voice said, and this time I recognized it. It was my own voice, but speaking with knowledge I didn't possess. "The protocol has begun. You are now part of the network. Welcome to the other side." I sat up in bed, my heart pounding, and reached for the radio. But when I turned it on, there was only static. The voice was gone, but I knew it would be back. And I knew that whatever the Thursday protocol was, it had just claimed its first victim. Me. The next Thursday night, I was ready. I'd spent the week researching everything I could about Phoebe Phoenix, the old Spanish fort it was built on, and any military operations that might have involved something called the Thursday Protocol. What I found was disturbing, but it was only the beginning. The base had been established in 1987, but the records showed that the site had been used by the military since the 1950s. There were references to special communications projects and atmospheric research, but most of the details were classified. What wasn't classified was the casualty list. Over the past 30 years, 17 soldiers had died at FOB Phoenix. All of them had been communications specialists. All of them had died on Thursday nights, and all of them had been found in the same place, the communications bunker, with their radios still transmitting static. I was reading through the files when Chen found me in the base library. She looked worried, and I could see she hadn't been sleeping well either. "Rodriguez, we need to talk," she said, sitting down across from me. "I've been having dreams. Bad dreams. About the radio." I closed the file I was reading and looked at her. "What kind of dreams?" "Dreams where I'm back in the bunker, but it's different. The walls are made of stone instead of concrete, and there are symbols carved into them. Symbols that look like they're moving. And there's a voice telling me that I'm part of something now. That I can't leave." I felt a chill run down my spine. "Chen, I've been having the same dreams, and I've been researching the base. Did you know that 17 communications specialists have died here? All on Thursday nights?" Chen's face went pale. "Rodriguez, what the hell is happening to us?" Before I could answer, the base alarm went off. We both jumped up and ran to the window. Outside, I could see soldiers running toward the communications bunker. Something was wrong. We joined the crowd gathering around the bunker entrance. Major Thompson was there, along with several other officers, and they all looked grim. I pushed my way to the front and saw what had everyone so concerned. The bunker door was open, but it wasn't supposed to be. The communications equipment was supposed to be locked down at night, with only the duty officer having access. But the door was wide open, and from inside I could hear the sound of static. Not normal static. The same rhythmic static I'd heard the week before. The static that was trying to form words. Major Thompson saw me and motioned me forward. "Sergeant Rodriguez, I need you to go in there and assess the situation. But be careful. Something's not right." I nodded and stepped toward the bunker entrance. The static was louder now, and I could hear voices in it. Multiple voices, all speaking at once, all saying the same thing. The protocol continues. The bridge remains open. The subjects are aware. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The bunker was exactly as I'd left it the night before, but the radio was on, broadcasting that same rhythmic static. I walked over to the console and reached for the power switch, but before I could turn it off, the static cleared and a voice came through. "Sergeant Rodriguez," it said, and this time I recognized it. It was the voice of Private First Class David Kim, who had been part of our unit until he'd been transferred out 3 months ago. But David was dead. He'd been killed in a training accident 2 weeks ago. "David," I said into the microphone, "is that you?" "Rodriguez, you need to listen to me. The Thursday Protocol isn't what you think it is. It's not a military operation. It's a ritual. A ritual that's been performed on this site for centuries. The Spanish used it to communicate with their dead. The military uses it to communicate with something else." I felt my hands start to shake. "David, you're dead. How are you talking to me? Because death isn't what you think it is, Rodriguez. It's just a change of frequency. And the Thursday Protocol opens a channel between frequencies, between the living and the dead, between this world and the other side." The transmission ended, and I was left standing in the bunker, staring at the radio. Behind me, I could hear Major Thompson calling my name, but I couldn't respond. I was too busy trying to process what I'd just heard. David was dead, but he was still talking to me. And he was telling me that the Thursday Protocol was a ritual, not a military operation. A ritual that opened channels between worlds. I turned around and saw Major Thompson standing in the bunker entrance, his face grim. "Sergeant Rodriguez, what did you hear in there?" I looked at him, and I could see in his eyes that he already knew the answer. "Sir, I think we need to talk about what's really happening at this base." Major Thompson nodded slowly. "Yes, Sergeant, I think we do. But first, I need you to understand something. What you've experienced is just the beginning. The Thursday Protocol has been active for decades, and it's not something you can walk away from. Once you're part of it, you're part of it forever." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean, sir?" "I mean that you and your unit have been selected for a purpose that goes beyond anything you can imagine. And tonight, you're going to learn what that purpose is." He turned and walked out of the bunker, leaving me alone with the radio and the knowledge that whatever the Thursday Protocol was, it was about to change everything I thought I knew about the world. And about death. That night, I couldn't sleep. Major Thompson's words kept echoing in my head, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the bunker, the radio, and the voice of my dead friend, David Kim. At 0300 hours, the radio in my quarters came to life again. But this time, the voice wasn't David's. It was a voice I recognized from my childhood, a voice I hadn't heard in over 20 years. "Marcus," it said, and I felt my heart stop. "Marcus, it's your father." I sat up in bed, my hands shaking. My father had died when I was 12, killed in a car accident on his way home from work. But the voice coming through the radio was undeniably his. "Dad?" I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "How is this possible?" "Marcus, you need to listen to me very carefully. The Thursday Protocol isn't just a military operation, it's a family legacy. Your family legacy." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" "Your grandfather was part of the original protocol in 1952. He was one of the first soldiers to discover what this place really is. And he was one of the first to understand that death isn't the end. It's just a change of frequency. I remembered my grandfather, a quiet man who had served in Korea and never talked about his military service. He had died when I was 8, but I remembered him as someone who always seemed to be listening to something no one else could hear. "Dad, what happened to Grandpa?" He discovered the truth about the Thursday Protocol. He learned that this base was built on something much older than a Spanish fort. It was built on a place where the veil between worlds is thin, where the living and the dead can communicate directly. The radio crackled with static, and for a moment, I thought the connection was lost. But then, my father's voice came through again, stronger this time. "Marcus, your grandfather didn't die of natural causes. He was killed because he tried to expose the truth about the protocol. But before he died, he made sure that the knowledge would be passed down. To your father, and now to you." I felt tears running down my face. "Dad, I don't understand." "Why me? Why now?" "Because the protocol is reaching a critical phase. The bridge between worlds is becoming unstable, and someone needs to maintain it. Someone with the right bloodline. Someone who can hear the voices on the other side." I thought about the dreams I'd been having, the way I could hear the static forming words, the way the radio seemed to respond to my thoughts. "You mean I was chosen for this?" "Not chosen, Marcus. Born for it. Your family has been part of the Thursday Protocol for 3 generations, and now it's your turn to take your place in the network." The radio went silent, and I was left alone in the darkness, trying to process what I'd just learned. My family had been part of this for decades. My grandfather had died because of it. My father had been part of it. And now it was my turn. But I still didn't understand what the protocol actually was, or what my role in it was supposed to be. And I had a feeling that I was about to find out. The next morning, I went to see Major Thompson. I needed answers, and I was tired of being kept in the dark. But when I got to his office, I found him talking to someone I'd never seen before. A man in civilian clothes, with a briefcase and an expression that suggested he was used to getting what he wanted. "Sergeant Rodriguez," Major Thompson said when he saw me. "This is Dr. Samuel Cross. He's here to explain the Thursday Protocol to you." Dr. Cross stood up and extended his hand. "Sergeant Rodriguez, I've been looking forward to meeting you. Your family has been instrumental in the success of our program." I shook his hand, but I could feel something wrong about him, something that made my skin crawl. "Dr. Cross, what exactly is the Thursday Protocol?" Dr. Cross smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "The Thursday Protocol is a communications network, Sergeant, but not the kind you're thinking of. It's a network that allows communication between the living and the dead." I felt my blood run cold. "You mean it's real?" "The voices I've been hearing, the radio transmissions, they're actually from dead people?" "Not just dead people, Sergeant. Dead people with important information. Information that can't be obtained through conventional means. Information about enemy operations, about future events, about things that haven't happened yet. I thought about David Kim, about my father, about the voices I'd been hearing. You're using dead soldiers as intelligence sources?" Dr. Cross's smile widened. "We're using them as something much more valuable than that, Sergeant. We're using them as bridges between our world and the other side. And you, Sergeant Rodriguez, are going to be our primary bridge." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" "I mean that you have a unique ability, Sergeant, an ability that runs in your family. The ability to hear the dead, to communicate with them, to serve as a conduit between worlds. and we need you to use that ability for us." I looked at Major Thompson, but he was staring at the floor, refusing to meet my eyes. "Sir, is this what you've been keeping from me?" Major Thompson nodded slowly. "Sergeant, the Thursday Protocol is classified at the highest level. Only a handful of people know about it, and even fewer understand what it really is. But you're part of it now, whether you want to be or not." Dr. Cross stepped forward. "Sergeant Rodriguez, you have a choice. You can cooperate with us, help us maintain the network, and ensure that the communication between worlds continues. Or you can resist, and we'll find someone else to take your place. But I should warn you, resistance has consequences." I thought about my father's voice, about David Kim, about the knowledge that my family had been part of this for generations. What kind of consequences? Dr. Cross's smile disappeared. "The kind that make you wish you'd never been born, Sergeant. The kind that make death seem like a mercy." I felt my hands start to shake. "You're threatening me?" "I'm explaining the reality of your situation, Sergeant. You're part of something much larger than yourself now. Something that doesn't tolerate disobedience. Something that will do whatever it takes to maintain the network." I looked at Major Thompson again, but he was still staring at the floor. "Sir, is this what you want me to do? Serve as some kind of medium for dead people?" Major Thompson finally looked up, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. "Sergeant, I don't have a choice. None of us do. The Thursday Protocol is bigger than any individual. It's bigger than the military. It's bigger than anything you can imagine." Dr. Cross stepped forward again. "Sergeant Rodriguez, the choice is yours. But I suggest you make it quickly. The next phase of the protocol begins tonight, and we need you to be ready." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What happens tonight?" Dr. Cross smiled again, but this time it was a smile that made my blood run cold. "Tonight, Sergeant, you're going to learn what it really means to be part of the network. Tonight, you're going to discover that death is just the beginning." That night, I was ready. I'd spent the day trying to understand what I'd learned, trying to come to terms with the fact that my family had been part of the Thursday Protocol for generations, but I still didn't understand what my role was supposed to be, or what Dr. Cross meant when he said that death was just the beginning. At 0300 hours, the radio in my quarters came to life. But this time, it wasn't just one voice. It was dozens of voices, all speaking at once, all saying the same thing. "Sergeant Rodriguez, the protocol is ready. The bridge is open. The network is waiting." I reached for the radio, but before I could respond, the door to my quarters opened. Dr. Cross was standing there, along with Major Thompson and 2 soldiers I didn't recognize. They were all wearing some kind of protective gear, and they had equipment I'd never seen before. "Sergeant Rodriguez," Dr. Cross said, "it's time. The Thursday Protocol is about to begin." I stood up, but the 2 soldiers moved to block the door. "What's going on?" "What are you going to do to me?" Dr. Cross smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "We're not going to do anything to you, Sergeant. We're going to do something with you, something that will make you more valuable than you can imagine." Major Thompson stepped forward. "Sergeant, you need to understand something. The Thursday Protocol isn't just about communicating with the dead. It's about creating a permanent bridge between worlds. A bridge that can be used for intelligence gathering, for strategic advantage, for things that go beyond anything you can imagine." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean?" Dr. Cross stepped forward, holding a device that looked like a cross between a radio and a medical instrument. We mean that you're going to become part of the network, Sergeant. Not just a conduit, but an actual part of it. Your consciousness will be linked to the network, allowing you to communicate with the dead in real time, to access information from the other side, to serve as a permanent bridge between worlds. I backed away from them. You're going to experiment on me? Not experiment, Sergeant. Enhance. We're going to enhance your natural abilities, make you more effective as a bridge. And once the process is complete, you'll be able to communicate with the dead whenever we need you to. I looked at Major Thompson, but he was staring at the floor again. Sir, is this what you want? To turn me into some kind of human radio? Major Thompson looked up, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. Sergeant, I don't have a choice. The Thursday Protocol is bigger than any individual. It's bigger than the military. It's bigger than anything you can imagine. Dr. Cross stepped forward with the device. Sergeant Rodriguez, the process is painless. You'll be unconscious during the procedure, and when you wake up, you'll be more than human. You'll be part of something eternal. I felt the two soldiers grab my arms, and I knew I was trapped. What happens if I refuse? Dr. Cross's smile disappeared. Then we'll find someone else to take your place. But I should warn you, Sergeant, the process doesn't work as well with unwilling subjects. The results are unpredictable. I thought about my family, about my grandfather who had died because of this, about my father who had been part of it. What happened to my grandfather? What really happened to him? Dr. Cross's expression changed, and for a moment, I thought I saw something like regret in his eyes. Your grandfather was one of the first subjects, Sergeant, but he was unwilling. He tried to expose the truth about the protocol, and the process didn't work as well as we'd hoped. I felt my blood run cold. You killed him. We didn't kill him, Sergeant. The process did. When a subject is unwilling, the consciousness transfer doesn't work properly. The mind becomes fragmented, the personality breaks down. Your grandfather didn't die of natural causes. He died because his mind couldn't handle the process. I looked at Major Thompson, but he was still staring at the floor. Sir, did you know about this? Did you know what happened to my grandfather? Major Thompson looked up, and I could see the truth in his eyes. Sergeant, I didn't know the details, but I knew that your family was part of the protocol. I knew that you were being prepared for this moment, and I know that you don't have a choice. Dr. Cross stepped forward with the device. Sergeant Rodriguez, the choice is yours. You can cooperate, and the process will be successful. Or you can resist, and you will end up like your grandfather. But either way, the Thursday Protocol will continue. I felt the soldiers tighten their grip on my arms, and I knew I was trapped. But I also knew that I couldn't let them turn me into whatever they wanted me to be. I had to find a way to stop this, to expose the truth about the Thursday Protocol. But first, I had to survive the night. As Dr. Cross approached me with the device, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let them turn me into whatever they wanted me to be. I wasn't going to become part of their network, their bridge between worlds. I was going to fight back. I twisted free from the soldier's grip and lunged at Dr. Cross, knocking the device from his hands. It clattered to the floor, and I could see that it was some kind of neural interface, with wires and electrodes that were designed to connect directly to the brain. Sergeant Rodriguez, Major Thompson shouted, stand down! That's an order. But I wasn't listening. I was too busy trying to understand what I'd just seen. The device wasn't just a communication tool. It was something much more sinister. You're not trying to enhance my abilities, I said, looking at Dr. Cross. You're trying to replace them. You're trying to turn me into a machine." Dr. Cross's expression changed, and for a moment, I thought I saw something like fear in his eyes. "Sergeant, you don't understand what you're dealing with." The Thursday Protocol isn't just about communicating with the dead. It's about creating a new kind of intelligence, a hybrid intelligence that combines human consciousness with something else. I felt a chill run down my spine. Something else? The network, Sergeant. The network of the dead, but not just dead people. Dead people who have been enhanced, modified, turned into something more than human. Something that can exist in both worlds, that can access information from the other side, that can serve as a permanent bridge between dimensions. I looked at the device on the floor, and I began to understand what they were really trying to do. You're not trying to communicate with the dead. You're trying to create them. You're trying to turn living people into dead people who can still function. Dr. Cross smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "Now, you understand, Sergeant. The Thursday Protocol isn't about communication. It's about transformation. It's about creating a new kind of being, one that exists in both worlds, one that can serve as a permanent bridge between the living and the dead." I felt my blood run cold. "You're going to kill me." "Not kill you, Sergeant. Transform you. Turn you into something more than human. Something that can exist in both worlds, that can access information from the other side, that can serve as a permanent bridge between dimensions." I looked at Major Thompson, but he was still staring at the floor. "Sir, is this what you want? To turn me into some kind of undead intelligence agent?" Major Thompson looked up, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. "Sergeant, I don't have a choice. The Thursday Protocol is bigger than any individual. It's bigger than the military. It's bigger than anything you can imagine." Dr. Cross stepped forward with the device. "Sergeant Rodriguez, the process is irreversible. Once you're part of the network, you'll never be human again. But you'll be something more, something eternal." I felt the soldiers grab my arms again, and I knew I was trapped. But I also knew that I couldn't let them do this to me. I had to find a way to stop this, to expose the truth about the Thursday Protocol. But first, I had to survive the night. As Dr. Cross approached me with the device, I made one final decision. I wasn't going to let them turn me into whatever they wanted me to be. I was going to fight back, even if it meant my death. I twisted free from the soldier's grip and lunged at Dr. Cross, knocking the device from his hands. It clattered to the floor, and I could see that it was some kind of neural interface, with wires and electrodes that were designed to connect directly to the brain. "Sergeant Rodriguez!" Major Thompson shouted. "Stand down!" That's an order. But I wasn't listening. I was too busy trying to understand what I'd just seen. The device wasn't just a communication tool. It was something much more sinister. "You're not trying to enhance my abilities," I said, looking at Dr. Cross. "You're trying to replace them. You're trying to turn me into a machine." Dr. Cross's expression changed, and for a moment, I thought I saw something like fear in his eyes. "Sergeant, you don't understand what you're dealing with. The Thursday Protocol isn't just about communicating with the dead. It's about creating a new kind of intelligence, a hybrid intelligence that combines human consciousness with something else." I felt a chill run down my spine. Something else? The network, Sergeant. The network of the dead. But not just dead people. Dead people who have been enhanced, modified, turned into something more than human. Something that can exist in both worlds, that can access information from the other side, that can serve as a permanent bridge between dimensions. I looked at the device on the floor, and I began to understand what they were really trying to do. You're not trying to communicate with the dead. You're trying to create them. You're trying to turn living people into dead people who can still function. Dr. Cross smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Now you understand, Sergeant. The Thursday Protocol isn't about communication. It's about transformation. It's about creating a new kind of being, one that exists in both worlds, one that can serve as a permanent bridge between the living and the dead. I felt my blood run cold. You're going to kill me. Not kill you, Sergeant. Transform you. Turn you into something more than human. Something that can exist in both worlds, that can access information from the other side, that can serve as a permanent bridge between dimensions. I looked at Major Thompson, but he was still staring at the floor. Sir, is this what you want? To turn me into some kind of undead intelligence agent? Major Thompson looked up, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. Sergeant, I don't have a choice. The Thursday Protocol is bigger than any individual. It's bigger than the military. It's bigger than anything you can imagine. Dr. Cross stepped forward with the device. Sergeant Rodriguez, the process is irreversible. Once you're part of the network, you'll never be human again. But you'll be something more, something eternal. I felt the soldiers grab my arms again, and I knew I was trapped. But I also knew that I couldn't let them do this to me. I had to find a way to stop this, to expose the truth about the Thursday Protocol. But first, I had to survive the night. As Dr. Cross approached me with the device, I made one final decision. I wasn't going to let them turn me into whatever they wanted me to be. I was going to fight back, even if it meant my death. Let me reevaluate and take a different approach, thinking I need to complete the story properly. Let me write the final part with a proper twist ending and conclusion, then provide the thumbnail prompt and alternative titles as requested.